One of the hardest parts about investing in real estate is dealing with contractors. And it's one of the questions that I get often is like, how do you work with contractors? I'm scared. Do I pay them 50% down? Do I do this? Do I do that? And in today's video, we're going to get into how you deal with contractors, how you can be successful in dealing with contractors, what to look out for, what my suggestions are, and make sure that you comment below if you have any questions, because that's how you get answers, right? The question I get all the time is like, do I pay him 50% down? No. Michael Miller, one of my students, just had a great question the other day. He called me. We actually bought a property in Tacoma, Washington together. We partnered on the deal. That's one of the things I do in my coaching program is we partner on deals together. And one of the things that he said to me, he's like, hey, Troy, I know you teach me, that we're not going to pay anybody 50% down, but this big company is asking for 50% down. It's a small bill. It's $3,500 for a trash out to remove all this junk and stuff like that. I said, as long as they accept a credit card, we'll put 50% down. Why? Well, that's one of my tips. So make sure you stay all the way to the end so you can find out why that's okay and that's acceptable to put 50% down on stuff like that. But my rule of thumb is never, ever, ever pay a contractor 50% down, because here's what can go wrong. First of all, if you believe that your contractor is a better manager of your money than you, then give them 50% down. The reason they're going to ask for 50% down is because that's industry standard. It's not because they need the money down. It's not because they're buying materials or they got to make payroll or they got to do this or they got to do that. It's because it's industry standard. Industry standard does not mean it's good for you. In fact, one of the worst things that you could do is ever give a contractor 50%. It'll go bad for you no matter what. Let's say you're doing a $100,000 renovation on your house and you go, here's $50,000. And then the guy doesn't show up ever again. What are you going to do? Let me ask you this. Do you work a 9 to 5 right now? Does your boss pay you 2 weeks in advance and say, hey, I hope things go well for the next 2 weeks. Here's your paycheck in advance. So why is it okay that we pay contractors 50% down? It's not, never will be, and I'll never do it. It's not a good business model. Why? Because you're putting somebody else in your money. Now, from the contractor side, I totally understand that. Like, I just committed the customer because money commits, right? Even if I got the wrong contractor, money commits. So I gave you 50% down. I'm not happy with my decision, but you got 50% of my money. I'm going to stick with you. And I'm like, holy crap, this is not the right situation. And listen, this is some mistakes you make twice. Some mistakes you make 3 times. I've made this mistake several times. And every time I've made it, it has gone wrong. So don't ever pay anybody 50% down, because if they are a contractor, and let's say they're a painting contractor, and I had the same issue, my painting contractor's like, hey, we want 50% down. I'm like, great, we're not paying 50% down. He's like, well, I need to buy paint. I'm like, I'll pay for the paint. Great, I want the points for my credit cards, dude. And he's like, well, how do we get paid? I said, I'll pay you on the percentage of the job that you completed based on the total bid of the project. Doesn't that sound fair? Let me ask you, does that sound fair to you that somebody gets paid for the work that they've done, not the work that they're gonna do? I think so. Common sense says that I will pay for the materials that you need so you don't have to lay any of your own money. Then I will pay you for the work that you completed. Well, the 50% philosophy says pay us 50% and then pay us the other 50% when we're done. Well, let's say this contractor starts and he's no good. Have you seen our video about the electrician?
We were laughing the whole time getting your money. It's easy money with you.
The electrician tried to rob me. They wanted 50% down. Everybody wants 50% down. 50% down commits me, commits you, and does not commit the contractor. All it does is commit them to getting your 50%. And a lot of these guys, they're not good with their money. Maybe they got a drinking problem. Maybe they got a gambling problem. Maybe they got a money problem. Maybe they got a girl problem. Maybe they got whatever kind of problem they have, but 50% down is definitely not the way to go. All right, next, cash only. If you ever hear, hey, I need to get paid cash only. Why? Why is that now my problem that you need to get paid cash only? I will negotiate. This is another trick that I will tell you right now, a little snippet I'll say. I always will negotiate on cash terms. Cash, cash, cash. I'll pay you cash. Well, cash these days means a check. It means Bitcoin, whatever the hell it is. I'll negotiate cash, but we ain't paying you cash. Why are we not paying you cash? It could commit me to fraud, right? Let's say that this person is dealing with the IRS and there's like, hey, any money that goes in my bank account comes out. I got problems. That's not my problem, pal. It's not my problem that you haven't paid your bills to the IRS. I understand why small businesses have tax issues, but the problem is it's not my problem. And if they are asking for cash, they're avoiding things. They're either avoiding child support. So if you're aiding and abetting someone from like defrauding the child support agency, or if you're aiding and abetting somebody from, not paying their taxes, or if you're aiding and abetting them from blocking a job judgment, then guess what? You're in cahoots with them. So if somebody's asking you for cash only, fine. Pay them cash only, but at your own peril. I like a money trail, right? Let's say you had an issue with them. There's no way of you proving it, right? Unless you videotaped you paying cash. So that would be one little hack that I would say is like, if you did have to pay someone cash, make sure you put your video camera in your pocket, or everybody's on their phone these days. If you just walk up with you on your phone and you're swinging it around and in the middle of it, you're like recording them, then videotape it. Do not ever pay anybody cash unless you get a receipt for it, or unless you videotape it, unless you're 1099ing them. Because here's the problem. If you pay somebody over $600 and you pay them in cash, you are required as a business owner, or as anybody paying that much people in cash, to file a 1099 on that person. So if you don't, guess what? You're in trouble with the IRS too. Like, if you're doing that, you are now in cahoots with the contractor who's asking you for that. So don't pay people cash. Keep a paper trail. Pay with your credit card. Pay with your checkbook. Pay any other way than with cash, unless you issue that person a 1099 and they issue you a receipt, and then it's just the same as a check anyways. So why the hell wouldn't you write a check anyways? The other biggest excuse that I get is, even when they're over budget, even when things are going sideways, they'll say this one: man, I just need to pay my guys. I need to pay them, and you're the one that's stopping it. Whoa. Let's bring the conversation back to you, pal. Like, you did not do the job. Why would I pay you and your guys any money? I'm not their daddy. I'm not their mama. And if they didn't do the job, I don't feel sorry for you or your guys. Just because I'm talking about the fact that dealing with contractors is a real pain in the butt, we have some amazing contractors out there. We got Super Mario, we've got Juan, all these guys who rely on us. They work specifically for us and they do a great job, and we pay them hundreds of thousands of dollars per year. But that is because we focus on trying to find good contractors that work within our goals and ambitions. If they're saying I need cash, if they're saying 50% down, if they're saying I need to pay my guys, run for the freaking hills, because that is not your responsibility, and things go sideways real quick. If they're like, you know what, I'm not licensed and I'm using somebody else's license, would I use them? The answer is yes, because if they're working under somebody else's license, that's okay. As long as they are insured, as long as they are covered, I don't have a problem with that. I got general liability. As long as the person, that license that they're working under, has given them permission to be a subcontractor under that license, they may not need to be licensed, because that license covers the general contractor and any subs that he hires under them. If they're doing it the wrong way, where they're using somebody else's license and they're not being supervised and they're just paying somebody, then you might have a bigger problem on your hand than you know. Long story short, if you have a situation where you're absolutely like the Michael Miller and I are flipping a property, one of my students called me up yesterday. He's like, hey, we're getting the house ready to flip. He's like, hey, we got to hire this junk guy to clean all this stuff out. He's like, they want 50% down. You told me not to do that. What do we do? And it's a large corporation. It's $3,500. So half of that would be $1,750. So I'm like, great, we can pay those guys as long as it's on our credit card. Why? The credit card company protects you. The credit card is protecting you. And so what happens is, if that work didn't get done, you're going to file a dispute. We've had this happen several times. Say, okay, guess what? We hired these guys over here in Tacoma. They didn't do the job. We paid them $1,500. Dispute the charge. Now they're going to have to prove that they did the work. Well, if you could prove that they didn't do the work, they're not going to be able to prove they did do the work. So you're going to get your money back right away, and then they're going to have to fight for it. So you want to use a credit card. You want to never pay your guys 50% down. You don't want to pay people cash. You don't want to worry about people paying guys. All you want to do is make sure you subscribe and make sure you schedule a call with us and make sure you get started investing in real estate. We'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.